Today I will recap a 2018 Indonesian horror film named The Secret, Suster Ngesot Urban Legend. Before we start, it is a request to please like and comment on the video as it will help us to grow our reach. The movie begins on a rainy night when a man buries a girl alive. The scene then shifts to Jakarta Airport, where Kanaya's dad comes to receive her, but there is also a woman with him, seeing whom Kanaya gets surprised. Her dad tells her that he married Sophie 2 months ago, and they have decided to do the reception after she is home. Sophie says she hopes she can be good friends, but Kanaya doesn't seem too happy about it. Now that night, Kanaya talks to her friend and tells her that her dad has remarried, and the woman he married is of their age. Her friend suggests her not be so quick to judge and try to get to know her better. We then see her at her dad's reception party, where Sophie drinks too much, and when Kanaya's boyfriend Ted tries to handle her, the glass falls from Sophie's hand and breaks, due to which everyone's attention goes towards them. She begins kissing Ted in a drunken state, seeing that Kanaya gets very angry and pushes Sophie into the swimming pool. Now when she is driving towards her home in anger, something hits her car, which throws off balance of her car and she crashes into a tree. We then see her in a hospital with Ted beside her, and there is an old lady on the bed next to her. After a while, she wakes up hearing someone breathing heavily and gets haunted by a ghost, but she ignores it. Ted brings her out into the open air and we learn that she was unconscious for 2 days. She asks him what happened to the person that she hit, to which he says she hits nothing, and he only saw her car hitting a tree. He then takes out a ring from his pocket, and here we learn that Kanaya dumped him before moving to Melbourne because she didn't want a long-distance relationship. He then tells her that she can take as much time as she wants, but if he is still in his heart, he wants her to say yes when he proposes to her. Now that night, the old lady gets up from her chair and starts going somewhere. Kanaya follows her and reaches a hall where many bunker beds are kept. She then hears some weird noise, and she crashes into a wheelchair, and she sees a ghost behind her in the reflection of that wheelchair. However, when she looks behind, she finds no one there, and suddenly the ghost haunts her. She then gets up and it turns out to be a nightmare, but she finds that the old lady is dead. That night, Kanaya calls Ted and says she doesn't like this place, to which he tells her that the doctor said she can go home tomorrow. She says something weird happened last night, that the patient she saw in her dream died this morning. The other patient is also sent home and now she is all alone. Ted tells her that she must be hallucinating because she suffers a minor concussion and asks her to rest and stop thinking about weird things. Now when she is leaving there, someone asks her if she is done calling, and when she turns, she finds that the nurse is sleeping. She gets terrified and rushes to her bed, where suddenly a ghost haunts her. The next day, Ted gets Kanaya discharged from the hospital and brings her to her old home. Then after a while leaving, he says he will come back here about 2 or 3 days from now, as he has a workshop and a meeting that he can't leave. Now when he leaves, Kanaya notices a girl standing on the lawn staring out the window. She goes to her to talk to her, but the girl just runs away from there, and then we see a woman in the house looking outside of the window. Kanaya follows the girl and meets her mom Putri, who tells her that the girl is her daughter Lala. She invites her in, and asks her what happened to her forehead, to which Kanaya tells her that she got into an accident on her way here. Putri then says she has to go to work, and asks her to wait in Lala's room till she comes back. She tells her that after Lala's father's death, she decided to move here, and fortunately, there is no other yoga instructor around here, so she decided to teach yoga here. She also tells her that Lala has a sixth sense like her late father. Now after Putri leaves for work, Kanaya hears Lala playing hide and seek with some Miss Marcia in her room. However, when she goes to her room, she finds her alone there. She asks her not to be afraid and tells her that mom told her that she could go up and play with her. She then asks her who is she playing with, but Lala does not reply, and then we see a lady behind Kanaya. She gets startled and says she thought Lala was playing by herself, and here we learn that Marcia is Lala's homeschool teacher. Kanaya then tells her that she never turned here after her mom died, but when she feels sad and down, she comes here because she feels like her mom is still here with her. Hearing this, Marcia says the things that you cannot see might actually exist, or the things that you can see might actually not exist. That's what her late mom told her. Lala then comes there and asks Kanaya to play hide and seek. Now when Marcia and Lala hide and Kanaya starts looking for them, Lala gets terrified seeing a ghost moving towards her. She closes her eyes, and the next moment that ghost disappears from there. Meanwhile, Kanaya sees someone going to an old house and she thinks it is Marcia. She follows her into the house, and the door gets closed on its own, due to which she gets scared. Here Lala again sees that ghost on the swing, and then suddenly it appears right next to her and tries to attack her, but she manages to escape. On the other hand, we see that ghost in that house as well, but before Kanaya could encounter it, the door opens and she leaves there. The scene then shifts to the hospital, and the call bell of room number 4 rings. A senior nurse 𝐈𝐃𝐄𝐒 asks Asa to go to the room, but we see that she is hesitant to go there, but she has to follow the orders of the senior. Meanwhile, we see the guard of the hospital dancing to a song playing on the radio. The radio then suddenly stops and he begins checking it. Here 𝐈𝐃𝐄𝐒 suddenly remembers that the patient in room number 4 died this morning. Asa also remembers that room number 4 is empty, but only then she hears some sound from the morgue, and when she opens the door to check and looks inside, the ghost attacks her. After this, that guard also hears some strange sounds, and when he turns back, that ghost is behind him, fearing that he runs inside from there. However, that ghost haunts him even inside the hospital. The scene then shifts to Kanaya's home, and we see that ghost there too. Now the next morning, Kanaya again notices that Lala is staring at the window of the top floor of her house. Later, she calls her friend, who asks her if she leave alone there, to which she says yes. She asks her then who's that behind her. Kanaya looks back and says there is no one there. Her friend tells her there is a woman standing behind her, and then the call disconnects. Kanaya then goes to the top floor, where she finds a ring and wears it on her finger. Here a flashback is shown, in which Kanaya shows her mother the ring she made. She asks her to always wear this ring, and her mother says that this is the most precious ring because she has made it. Now Kanaya is getting emotional remembering her childhood days with her mother when she hears some crackling sound. And suddenly the photo frame placed above the piano breaks, due to which she gets scared, and then a rocking chair placed behind starts moving by itself. Kanaya then goes to Lala and asks her what exactly she sees at the second floor window every time she passes by her house. Lala gets scared and points toward her mother's photo and tells her that she saw that lady. She knows she is her late mother, and she said that this ring is the most beautiful, even more than an expensive gold ring, because it was made by Kanaya. After this, she calls Ted and tells him about this, but he does not believe her and says this doesn't make sense. She asks her if he thinks she is dreaming about everything that happened since the hospital until now. Ted says everything has its explanation and he is going to drop by after work today. After she disconnects the call, Lala asks her to play with her. Now when they begin playing, the weather turns bad outside and the lights of the house go off. They then hear some sound, and Kanaya gets terrified seeing that ghost sitting on the rocking chair behind, but the next moment it disappears. Lala also starts getting scared of the dark, and then Kanaya sees that ghost standing near them, and suddenly it comes next to Marcia. Then the lights turn on and Marcia asks her what's wrong, but Kanaya does not tell them anything. After that, they start playing hide and seek and Kanaya goes to a room looking for them, but finds no one there. And when she starts to leave, the door closes on its own. She gets terrified and screams for help, but then she starts hearing some sounds inside the room, and she sees her mother's ghost sitting there on the rocking chair. She asks her to leave saying that she is here, and then Kanaya sees that ghosts are moving towards her and then it attacks her. Later, Marcia comes there and finds her on the floor. On the other hand, Kanaya's dad asks Ted what happened to Kanaya and where is she. He tells him that when the day she left home, she had an accident and she is at her grandma's villa. Here Kanaya tells Marcia that she is really scared here, and she feels as if her mom's spirit is trying to tell her something. But she told her to leave this place. She thinks there is a connection between that scary sliding nurse ghost and her mom. Marcia calms her down and tells her that she will accompany her tonight. Now when Marcia goes to get tea for Kanaya, she sees Ted's calling on Kanaya's phone, and seeing this she gets very angry. We then see Ted on his way to Kanaya's home when suddenly he gets haunted by the ghost, but the next moment it disappears from there. Suddenly he sees that ghost in his car, due to which he gets terrified and comes out, but finds that there is no one in. After this, that ghost starts moving towards him from behind and his car also gets locked, and then the ghost attacks him. After this, it drives his car on his feet, breaking his legs. Later, Kanaya gets a call from the hospital, and they inform her that Ted just had an accident. She rushes to the hospital, where the doctor informs her that his both legs are broken and he is in critical condition. She suggests her to go home, as it might take a long time for him to wake up. But Kanaya says she will wait here. She then finds Marcia's photo in the hospital, and when she asks 𝐈𝐃𝐄𝐒 about her, she tells her that she is Mariam. Kanaya gets shocked to know this and asks her where is she now, to which 𝐈𝐃𝐄E tells her she don't know and she hasn't come to work for a week. Kanaya rushes back to Putri's house and asks her about Lala's homeschool teacher Marcia. She tells her that Lala's homeschool teacher is Mr. Soleil and there is no one named Marcia. Kanaya then goes to Lala and asks her to explain to her who is Marcia, and here we come to know that the one who had an accident with Kanaya's car at the beginning of the movie was Mariam. When Ted reached there, he also saw Mariam who was lying there injured. Mariam asked him for help, but instead of helping her, he took her to a nearby forest and buried her alive there. Now Kanaya understands everything that her mom's spirit told her to leave the villa because Mariam wants to have revenge on Ted. She then gets a call from the hospital, and they inform her that Ted has disappeared from the clinic and there is dry soil around his bed. Lala tells her that Miss Marcia has returned to where she's buried. Kanaya then goes to the spot where she had an accident, and she begs Miriam to let Ted go and let her bear the responsibility, as she was the one who hit her. Miriam's ghost then appears in front of her, due to which she gets terrified, but then she sees that Ted has been dragged into a grave. She goes and tries to save him, but Miriam's ghost starts pulling Ted down, and Kanaya's dad also comes there and tells her to let go. She tries her best to pull Ted up, but Miriam finally takes him with her. Kanaya's dad then takes her back home, but we see that Ted is still alive and Miriam is lying next to him. Please like and subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon never to miss new video updates. Thanks for watching.